Well, hey, good evening to you. Hey, I'm out here doing a little squirrel hunting, and just kind of an interesting thing took place while I was down here is I'm hunting with a Typhoon 12. This is a great shotgun, and a while back, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, I was hunting with it, and I have a red dot on it, and I thought, well, I was usually just hunting with iron sights. But I thought, I'll try the red dot. And the battery was dead. At least what I thought, the battery was dead. And later on, I was down at my range, which is where I'm standing right now. And I noticed this on the ground. And I kind of thought, well, what is that? Like that looks familiar. What is that? What is that thing? And I couldn't quite identify it. Until then, I broke out my shotgun and I was going squirrel hunting, and I realized, gosh, that no wonder that thing doesn't work. So I want to take a moment and really just kind of talk about that, because I've only used this shotgun with this red dot on it. I don't know, I bet I've fired like 3 or 4 shots through it with the red dot, 10 at the most. Now, what I'll say about that is that when I was down here, and I'm sure this fell out because that's the last time I was down here with a shotgun, it is really thundering, by the way. Competing with the thunder, that's not bad. But I was down here and I was kind of showing the differences between like a bird shot versus a buck shot. So I fired these different caliber or different rounds to it. And ultimately, at some point, it jostled this thing loose and it popped out, because it was literally sitting right where I was standing shooting. So I share that with you because this is a pretty cheap red dot, just being honest. I don't even remember where I got it, but I don't think I paid more than like 30, 40 bucks for it. And I've learned over the years, and this is just another example of that, is that your optics matter. They matter. Even with scopes, I always kind of like, where I live, there used to be a Bushnell outlet in my town, and you can buy all sorts of great cheap scopes there. Some of them as cheap as like 10 bucks kind of thing. And that's usually where I got most of my scopes. Not that Bushnell's not a good brand, but this was their outlet, and I was getting their cheaper stuff. And it really wasn't until somebody sent me a really nice scope that I kind of thought, wow, that's a huge difference. That is a big, giant difference. Sorry, it's so hot down here. I'm going to sweat my eyes. But it matters, and to be quite honest, this is my home defense shotgun, and iron sights will do great, for the record, but red dot is what it's for. It's for the home defense. I didn't get a red dot to hunt with. I got a red dot to have for home defense. And just to wake up in the middle of the night and click that thing on, just to be looking through an empty space, an empty hole, and this glass is just laying, here on my range, would have been devastating. And again, iron sights would have worked, but red dot would have been better. And I say that because it's important. Optics matter. They matter. And what jostled it loose was the torque of the gun, so it's clearly not designed to withstand the torque of a shotgun. So you really have to get your optics specifically designed for the torque of the gun, because, or that impulse, that kick of that gun, you need to, so if you're going to be shooting a 30-06, for example, you need a scope that's really ready for that kick. Or if you have a red dot on a 308, for example, or a shotgun, you need a good red dot, and I learned a very valuable lesson in this, and thank God I didn't learn it the hard way. Those squirrels will live through another day. But as far as home defense, this is not okay. Not okay. And it's my own fault. You get what you pay for. And that's really kind of what this video is just, you get what you pay for. And when it comes to optic, I recommend, there's high dollar optics, and you won't catch me doing that. I'm just not a wealthy man. I was a teacher in my last life and a principal, and you kind of know how that pays and what that retirement looks like. So, I'm not in the, I'm going to buy like a $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10,000 optic. That's not who I am. But spending a couple $100 versus a couple tens of dollars is definitely worth it. And some would argue even more than that. But if, especially on a home defense gun like this one here, this is a problem. And so I'm going to always recommend, man, get a good optic, especially on the guns you're going to use a lot. And they matter. Optics matter. And I learned a valuable lesson in this one that I won't be making again. And I just want to share that lesson with you. So anyhow, any thoughts or insight on any of this, definitely put it below. If you got a good mid-priced optic, I'd be curious, especially a red dot, something like what I got here. Like something kind of like, I like it. It works perfect if it worked. I guess I like the design of it. It just was cheap. Again, I think I paid like $25 for it maybe. So get a good optic. If you have one, I'd be curious because now I need one. So I'll be looking at the comments to see what y'all recommend. Do want to take a moment and thank our sponsor, Jace Medical. They're the only ones in the world that you can get emergency meds. That's emergency antibiotics, emergency chronic meds, emergency antivirals, that sort of thing. Prescribed to you from a doctor and sent from a U.S. pharmacy straight to your house. I can get these meds from my doctor, but only if I'm sick. Jace gives them to you before you're sick in case of an emergency. And we carry these on our vacation with us, that sort of thing. If for some reason we're out of the country and we get an infection, we have these emergency antibiotics on hand. Have your chronic meds on hand because goodness gracious, you lose, anything go wrong, with the supply chain like we've already seen. You need to have emergency chronic meds on hand. Jace, the only company that does it. That link is below. So there you go. Again, put your recommendations below. Optics matter, and again, I'm not in the thousands of dollar range. I'm in the couple $100 max. So, that's the recommendations that I'm looking for. Put that in the comments below. Any other thoughts or insight, definitely put that below. Do want to take a moment and say most who watch the channel, not subscribers, click that subscribe button. It greatly increases the algorithm and our ability to get these messages out. That link is below. But the most important part of the channel, we take prayer requests, so please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.